Mondays might be my favourite day for doing artwork because it's very, very chill. Make sure I'm not disturbed. And I've decided today I'm going to use the 0.1. Where are we? 0.1. Was it 0.1? Oh, fabulous. I've lost the pen I was going to use. No, there it is. Coob, what a treat. How you doing, Coob? You all good? Regular service resumed. I've literally just started this second. I was going to start earlier, but again, not taking into account my phone that needs charging. But it's all fully charged now to make sure it doesn't die halfway through the stream. How are you anyway? You all good? Let's get stuck in. I did a stream earlier where I was messing about with the thinner pens. And I thought, you know what? I don't draw that often with my thinner tipped pens. I always do the thicker ones and then just use these for detail. But I thought I'm going to do a fully fleshed out drawing with this one today. Doing good, just open up my browser randomly. Nice. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you very much. Had a week off. Well, I managed to get a not live stream, a time lapse up, but it's been half term for the kids, so they've taken priority, which is fine. That's just the way it goes. Which means I've not been able to record as much. I've still been sort of drawing in the background, just fleshing out some things. Focused a lot on improving my graffiti work. I got some really good feedback. I shared some drawings on a Facebook page that I've joined. Got some good responses. I was looking for feedback mainly. Just asking people who have got a bit more experience in the genre than me about how I can combine my work with graffiti, and like I said, I just got some really good responses, so that was nice. That was very nice. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, just been getting back into it. I did a stream earlier today. Got some good ideas down. Had a few people in. They dropped some likes. That was all very nice of them. So yeah, no, it's all been good. Got 2 subs out of it as well. So happy with that. It's good to have time off, but at the same time, it's good to be back in it. I personally really like the routine of knuckling down and just getting my head down and getting the work out. And it's just been a bit difficult this week as well. My mum, she had to come over, well, she came over and stopped with us on Friday. She was on the way to visit my nan and my auntie, and because they live up in Scotland, and my sister was driving her, it was just easier for them both if, you know, my sister could just swing by here and grab her. And of course, it's always nice to see your mum when I sit down. So Friday I couldn't get anything done, but it's all good. So I'm just drawing some business in this book. I splurged and got Diablo 4 and I've been playing that a bunch for the past few days. My brain is a bit mush. Man, I love that feeling when you get a brand new game that you've wanted for ages and you just have, like, you're able just to get a few good days with it and you just all day with you in the game. I miss those days. I think the last game I had that with, like just a proper solo experience where it's just you in the game, was probably, God, I don't know. I would say Ori and the Will of the Wisps, possibly. I'd say that was the last game I had that with. Trying to do that now with Turtle Shredder's Revenge, which I'm loving, but I'm not getting on it as much as I want, and it's hard as well, like because of the type of game it is. It's a bit like Streets of Rage, and I've got it on the hardest difficulty because I just thought, well, I've got to. I'm achievement hunting a little bit on that, to be honest, but I thought, no, let's give it a whirl. Let's see if I can actually master this. I'm getting quite far, but there are some times I'm like, is this testing my patience just a wee bit? And I've got an itchy hand now. Ow. Rolling. I wasn't exactly hyped for it. It was just an impulse buy. When I heard one of my friends was going to play it. Don't regret it, it's been good so far. Yeah, I'm all over. I love games like Ori. I've never played any Diablo game. Ever. It's one that I've kind of had half an interest in a while ago, but I don't think I'm bothered now. I've heard, was it Diablo 4 is just the one that's just come out? I've heard Diablo 3. Was it Diablo 3? Apparently that was a big mess. But I can wholeheartedly recommend both Ori games. I adore them. Like, the art style is absolutely glorious. Like, it's probably, I would say, the best looking game I've ever seen in terms of stylistically for its art. I would put that up there with one of the nicest looking games ever made. But the thing that just sets it apart is its gameplay, the movement, like you said, the gameplay, the treasure huntery aspect of it. Like, I love Metroidvanias and 2D platformers and things like that, but it's just when sort of the movement and the combat is so satisfying. You just think, mwah, chef's kiss all round. I would say those two games and Hollow Knight are two of the, well, it would be three of the best games I've played in the last 20 years. Just perfectly scratches that itch of challenge and story and everything else. Just mwah. Diablo 3 started as a mess and never really managed to get salvaged despite them trying for years. Yeah, I think that's just what, I think it's just game devs sometimes, man. They just, does this keep zooming out? Why is it doing that? Why are you zooming out? I've just seen there's someone else in the watching as well. Hello, welcome. Hope you're well. Hope you're good. Always good to see people in here. Yeah, I was just saying that Mondays, I think, are one of my favourite days to draw, because Mondays are kind of horrible days. Like, it's the first day after the weekend. You're a bit down. You're a bit can't be bothered with life. You know, getting up in the morning, especially today, I had to mow the lawn today, and I hate our garden. It's shocking condition. It's like all bumpy and uneven, and parts of it overgrown. But I managed to finally get around to mowing it, and just one of those things to knock off the list. But I kind of like just having a freer day on Monday with my drawing. Like I'm not really doing anything sort of massively serious. It's just mucking about in my sketchbook, getting some ideas down, and then I'll come in here and in this book just draw some random stuff. There's no pressure on anything I'm drawing. I have to make it look, just stick it on a live stream, chill out. And it's just a good day to have before the Tuesday where I'll actually go and put something in my sketchbook. I'll make a sketchbook drawing that I'll whittle down, time-lapse it, edit it properly. It's just a good prep to get some ideas out. Diablo 4 seems to be returned to what people have loved about Diablo 2 but never played it. Digging the vibe, love it. No, not at all, man. Chat away about Diablo. I love chatting video games. I'll chat about any video game. Video games are one of my biggest inspirations. It's what I did at university, video game design. I love it. I love chatting about all sorts. I think I have discovered what my favourite type of video game is over the last few years. Like, there are certain games that don't click with me. Like, I'll never understand why. Right, this is my kind of opinion on video games. I'll never understand how or why The Last of Us gets mentioned in greatest video games of all time. And I remember one specific thing that really sent me off the clock about that game. I don't think it's a bad game for a start. I'm not going to sit here and say shite. No, it's not. But what specifically annoyed me about that game was everyone builds it up and say, oh, but the atmosphere is great and all this, and the story's fantastic. I'm not, again, the story's just whatever. But I think, the missus might be coming to say something. But for me, the number one priority of a video game is its gameplay. I think that's why, the original Mario game, Tetris, all these games that have simple mechanics tend to be the most popular and tend to be the best, because the gameplay should come first. And with Last of Us, I just find the gameplay so annoyingly lacking that it's like, I'm struggling to enjoy this. If I wanted a good story or atmosphere, I'd go and watch a film or read a book. And I remember I was playing it, and there's a museum level. I think it's a museum. Yeah, you're in a museum, I think. And the whole point is to avoid... it was a sort of done as a stealth section. So I thought, right, finally, I'm going to get to actually experience some good gameplay to go along with this atmosphere. And you kind of move from counter to counter. You use objects to distract whatever these bloody monsters are. But it just didn't seem to matter what you did. They would always hear you. So I thought, well, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Like, they would just hear you no matter how fast you moved or whatever. And I thought, well, the whole point was to obviously move slowly enough so that you weren't detected and you used the objects to distract them. And I ended up finishing that level after trying so many times to actually engage with the gameplay. I just legged it through the room and got out that way. And I thought, well, that just completely, that just completely defeats the purpose of like stealthing it. And it just annoyed me. I just thought, well, yeah, I don't know. I think because of how much I value gameplay in video games, maybe too much, I don't know, but I don't know, that was just my experience. It's not, like I said, it's not the worst game ever, but I just thought, no, but a big sort of epic game with atmosphere and story. I mean, the Red Dead Redemption has it dead to rights. Red Dead Redemption 2 especially is an incredible game. It just has everything. That's a kind of game I love to play now and again. That's got a great mix of gameplay, story, atmosphere, soundtrack if you want that as well. But yeah, I just don't think Last of Us cut the mustard on that one. I've been told Last of Us 2 is a much better game, and when I eventually finish number 1, I'll give it a chance. I'll always give it a chance. I felt the same way about Death Stranding. I never played that. Couldn't get past the tutorial because of bloody terrain causing my character to fall over. It's not fun. It needs to flow and feel right. I think that's it. That's a good way of putting it. Like if you don't feel the flow of a game, it can just ruin your experience. I hate to say it. Obviously, I'm going to go and return to this game because I've not got that far, and one of the games in this series is one of my favourites, well, is my favourite game of all time, and that's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So my favourite game ever is A Link to the Past on the SNES. That's the first game that I ever played that made me think video games in general are just amazing. Like they can be so, they can be so much more than just sort of platforming and jumping on stuff. And I adore that game. But Breath of the Wild, I've not got very far into it, and I will absolutely go back to it, because it's a Zelda game, so of course I'm going to go back to it. But one of the things that took me out of the enjoyment of the experience was the durability of your equipment and your weapons. It just seemed to get in the way of the flow of the game. It's like, I don't mind it as a mechanic, but I just think when it interferes as much as it does, I just think I'm starting not to give a toss anymore, because it's like I just want to get on with enjoying the experience. Like I said, there've been games before where they're able to, sort of have a story or have an atmosphere that work really well. Like Ocarina of Time is a great example of that. Half-Life 2 is probably the best example of that in my opinion. I remember I refused to play Half-Life 2 for so long because it got so much hype. And I thought, no, games that have got this much hype always tend to be flop. And I, being a mature little idiot back in the early noughties, I just thought, no, I'm not playing it. Everyone's saying it's great, and I bet it's not. And no. I'm going to be cool and not fall for it. And then when I did playing it, it now sits very comfortably in my top 5 games of all time. I think it's an incredible game. It's not perfect, like there's the odd level that does take you out of it a little bit. But overall, it's just a magnificent game. Like, it's so good. Half-Life 1's good, but it doesn't quite get it like the last sort of couple of levels in that game, Jesus. But Half-Life 2 is, mwah. Portal games are prime, they just feel right. Yeah, but I would say I've had this conversation like with my friends a billion times about the best games ever and your favourite games. So my favourite game ever, and I think you can separate these two into 2 different conversations, My favourite game ever, as I've said, is Link to the Past. Not perfect, but just the enjoyment of playing it. And like I say, when it's the first game that you ever play, that's amazing. That just has so much going on. You know, it's hard to not sort of love that game. But I would say the best video game that I've ever played, in terms of there is not an ounce of fat on it. It's funny, it's enjoyable. Again, the gameplay is king. And that's Portal. For me, I think Portal is the best video game ever made because there's not an ounce of fat on that thing. It's so good. Rocket League's a great example. The only thing with Rocket League that annoys me, and this is a me problem, not a game problem, is I'm still not used to the weight of the ball. Like, I'm always, because it's such a floaty ball, I'm always trying to anticipate it dropping. So I'm always early attacking it. And I always just miss it, and I'm just not used to the weight of it. And I've been playing Rocket League for a while. I actually came away from it for a bit because it was annoying me that much that I just could not get used to the weight of the ball. It was really annoying me, but I think once I kind of pushed through it, and I do love it, but I still struggle with like judging how that ball's going to drop. It is very frustrating sometimes. And Minecraft is a fair shout. It is the highest selling game of all time for a reason. Absolutely fair shout. A game that I love that I don't actually play correctly. when you talk about the survival mode, it's like, I get, because I'm a creative person, like my headspace just jumps too early to, oh, I want to build all these incredible things, and it's like, you haven't finished it yet, so why don't you get that done first? Favourite and best. Yeah, distinction, yeah. But yeah, but Portal 1 is just... Portal 2 is incredible as well. I loved Portal 2. But you could argue Portal 2, there's just a few levels or a few bits where you could say it drags a tad. I mean, that's very nitpicky because Portal 2 is still brilliant. But like I say, Portal 1, like the time, I think it's only, what, 3 hours did I take to do that? It's just... It's not a perfect game because no game is perfect, but like I said, the way I'd think about it is unnecessary sort of unnecessary features or things that are going on in the game. Like with Portal, I don't know, just everything in that game just made sense. Like it belonged there. Like very, very little time wasted. And that to me is why I think it's in a category of the best game I've played. I don't know what I'm doing over this drawing, by the way. That's the beauty of it, though. There's no real right way. I used to speedrun Portal for fun. My record, 43 minutes. Fair one. That's a hell of a time. I don't think I've ever speed... Oh, no, I'll tell you, I have speedrun. The only game that I attempted to speedrun when I was a kid, and I got half decent, it was Donkey Kong Country. The very first one on the SNES. I absolutely blazed that. I think I managed it. My goal, because I remember thinking, I loved the game so much. I thought, I wonder if I could finish this in under an hour. And I think I did. I think I managed 59 minutes, which I thought was lightning fast. And then later on, when you learn about the world of speedrunners and they're doing it, you know, quicker than you can take a toilet break, then you're like, okay, I'm very amateur at this. I always think the measure of a good game is, do I want to keep on playing this to 100% it? You know, are the extras engaging enough that I want to keep going? And if they are, then I think it's a good game. Or sorry, it's a great game, I would say. You can still have good games where you don't want to 100%. The world record's 5 minutes. Yeah. But the thing is though, like the thing is with speedrunners, and one of the reasons I could never be a speedrunner, is the time that you need to spend on one game to be competitive at that is a joke. I actually even had a game ruined for, well, not ruined, but that I wasn't bothered about when I played it, and it was considered one. It still is considered one of the best games ever, and that's Super Metroid. Because I watched speedruns of that. The first speedrun I ever saw was by a guy named Zosty, and it was on the ADGQ, Awesome Games Done Quick. I've not watched them in a while, but they sort of speedrun games for charity and things like that. And I saw his run, and I think he was the first player to get like a sub 2 hour 100% completion. And when I got around to playing it, I enjoyed it, but I didn't have as much fun with it. And I think I played Axiom Verge maybe like a couple of weeks before, which I prefer. And it's the same guy who does it. I think I preferred watching the speedrun of Super Metroid. Like, I loved watching him do it. It was incredible. But yeah, that was a real eye opener. To be in discussion back to Diablo and RPGs, what kind of class would you play in an RPG, and what's your favourite RPG, if any? I'm trying to think of the. I haven't played that many RPGs. I've played Fallout 3. That's considered an RPG. My problem with Fallout 3 though was there were loads of categories of things to do. And I played it as if, oh, this is like a skill tree and you have to fill them all, because that was like one of my first introductions to a proper RPG. And it wasn't, so I didn't really have a mastery in anything. I was just pretty good at a few things. I think I'm just sort of basic shooting. But my problem with that game, I remember towards the end, most of the weapons, about all the weapons that were dropped, I'm trying to think, you were in like a TV station, weren't you? With the sort of more powered ray guns. And my skill box or skill tree, or whatever you want to call it, in that particular area was really low. Because I put it into sort of regular weapons. And I thought, well, there was no indication that I was going to be using these guns. Otherwise, I would have just pumped it all into this. But stuff like that kind of bugs me. I don't even know what you... I can't really remember much from that game, to be honest. The most recent I played, I think, was South Park and the Stick of Destiny, was it? Well, I've barely touched it. Yeah, Fallout 3 is the only one I've played. I've heard Fallout New Vegas is amazing, and I would give that one a go. I don't think I'm asked about Fallout 4. I'd give New Vegas a go. But I thought I'd like... It was either that, because I wanted to try either that or Oblivion. Because I'd never played a game like that before. And I thought, well, I prefer the sort of sci-fi backdrop. The sort of post-apocalyptic Mad Max feel. That's more my taste, so I thought I'd probably enjoy that one more. But it was good, but again, just a few things in it I'm like, not sure about that. South Park was great, and I'm not a fan of turn-based games. But sorry, not turn-based games, turn-based RPGs. Like, I tried Final Fantasy X once, and my nonsense is the only word I could describe that. But what South Park did cleverly was they made you a part of the gameplay. So it wasn't just you clicked attack and you let the game do the rest. You were actually part of the process. So you had to time your attacks and all that sort of stuff. And I probably still would have enjoyed it even if it didn't have that, because I love the South Park humour. But I had a lot of fun with that game. Other games, there was a game called Magica, which was fun. I played with a few friends on that one. I think it was called Magica. But I don't know, I've not really played RPGs that much. Not because I think they're going to be rubbish or anything. It's just that it's mainly like the time that I've read that you need to play some of these. Like I said, I don't think Zelda's an RPG. Zelda's more like an adventure, an action adventure sort of game. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So I saw Diablo. That was. Oh, I remember playing Fable 3. Is that an RPG? That's an RPG, isn't it? That was years ago, though. That wasn't bad. There was a couple of bits in that one that were a bit iffy. Sort of some gameplay decisions that were like, that's a bit dodge. I think it was when you got quite far into it. It was to do with like a money. Was it a money-making thing? You had to do something with a well. Was it a well? Or there's like a town's lake or something like that. I can't remember. It was like, it's honestly about 15 years ago I played that game. It was fun enough. Did the South Park? Yeah, it did. I can't remember. Again, it's been like quite a few years since I played it, but it did have. I'm sure it had classes. I remember specifically because one of the achievements was you had to finish it as the Jewish character, but it wasn't a character; it was a class. They had a specific power or a specific skill. But yeah, they did. Magica I played a bit. Yeah, Magica was fun. Way builds, but yes. Fable, yeah, I haven't played those games. Oh yeah, I only played. The only reason I played Fable 3 was because I used to work at a game station, a video game store. It's shut down now, and our shop won like a regional prize for like most sales or something. So we got a special edition of Fable. It's a really nice, but in fact, I can even show you this. I'm looking right at it. I've had it for years. It's actually a really nice box as well. But yeah, it was this thing. Look at this. Eh? Ooh. Not normally my sort of game. But yeah, you get the game in there and you get a load of gubbins. And can you pull this out? What do you do with it? Oh, it's under here, look. Look, you get all that. Look at that. Ooh, you get some cards and a coin. Yeah, very fancy. Yeah, I won that. I'll say we, the shop won it. So I thought, well, it's not a game I'd normally play, but I've won it, so I may as well play it. That was pretty good. I liked it. Oh, and I've just plopped a load of gunk from it. Didn't realise that. That's how old it is. I think I would have got it in like 2010 or something. South Park Living, yeah. South Park, you can't. South Park was one of those games that, I mean, I love South Park because I grew up with South Park and I just find immature humour funny. The difficulty meter on South Park was so normally on a video game it's like, you know, you've got easy, medium, hard, for example, right? South Park's difficulty meter was on the easy end was a white face, and then the harder it got, the skin colour became darker and darker and darker, and straight away you're like, fucking hell, lads. Yeah, pushing it there. I'm amazed that got through, to be honest. I'm amazed that got through, but fair one. They got it through. But I'd say apart from South Park, I haven't played the sequel, the what's it called? The Sacred Butthole, is it? No, the Fractured Butthole. I've tried a few. That's so bad, yeah. But again, I think that's funny because it's like playing off a stereotype, blah 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 blah. But I tried playing the Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Coins, is it, or something? I just couldn't get into it. I just thought, this is just a bit boring. But I think that's more turn-based RPG I struggle with. Like I say, I remember playing or trying to play Final Fantasy X, and I just thought, this is just pretentious nonsense. And 10 was meant to be one of the better ones. I have since bought 7 because I want to give that one a chance, because that's the one that's widely considered the best one. And I've got a few friends who swear by it. So I said, no, I'll give it a proper chance. But 10, I thought, this is just garbage, this. I do want to play, is The Witcher 3. That's an RPG, right? That looked incredible. I really wanted to play that. I've not played any Witcher game in my life, and this would have been before the TV show as well, which I've not watched. But I've just looked at my... This is... What am I drawing here? That's the point of this thing. But I've just looked at I'm just drawing all sorts of gear here, aren't I? But, yeah, The Witcher 3 is one that I really wanted to play, because that looked awesome. I think as well, sort of in the 2010s, when they had that kind of, what would you say, RPG, like games with RPG elements, like Shadow Warrior was one, you know, that has skill trees and stuff. Let me ask you a more general question. If you lived in a fantasy world, sci-fi, would you fight melee, ranged, or using magic? Probably ranged. Although magic would be interesting. I think the thing with melee, and this is more of a criticism with games in general, they tend to be a bit button mashy. Like in fact, the only game that's got genuinely really good melee that I've played that I can think of is Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. The melee in those games were great. There's probably a couple of others, but if the melee was like that, I consider melee, but my first thought would be probably ranged, I think. But magic could be interesting. I think you could probably do some cool stuff with magic. And magic isn't my sort of go-to thing either. But yeah, ranged, I would say. There's definitely been RPG games out there that I've looked at and thought, oh, they look interesting. But I think the thing is as well that the time, like some of these RPG games now, like hundreds of hours of gameplay, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I think I'm a little bit old school where I'm quite happy with a campaign that lasts, you know, around the 10-hour mark. I think that's a good sort of barometer. But then again, I think I dropped like 40 hours on the Ori games. But that is a Metroidvania and they're a little bit longer. So range, regardless of world, would you prefer to wield a bow or guns? I mean, guns. I do prefer guns, if I'm honest. But I mean, if the guns are like the sort of mechanics from Fallout, then probably not. But yeah, guns. I do like. But if the mechanic, again, I'm thinking more of sort of gameplay here. Like if the mechanics are good, I don't really mind what I would do. Like again, if I'm doing hand-to-hand combat, if the mechanics are good and enjoyable, then I'll happily do melee. But instinctively, my favourite thing to use in video games, if it's a 3D world, we'll say that, then I would say guns is instinctively my favourite thing to use. I think 2D games I prefer melee. I think the mechanics for 2D games are better suited for melee. But we'll say 3D world, 3D game, going by your example, we'll say 3D worlds. In which case I would definitely say guns. Oh, if there was a game like Diablo but set in a sci-fi universe, I'd be in real trouble. See, like I said, Diablo is a game I've always kind of had an eye on. Like I said, I mean, as stated, the troubles with the third one. Because I thought the third one looked, when I first saw it, I thought that looks pretty cool, that. And I knew of the second one and heard how good it was. Or I'd heard people I know say it was good. And then, obviously, the development problems with the third one. But Diablo is not a game that I would turn my nose up at. I'd definitely have a go on it. There's been a few, I don't know if it's an RPG, but there's been a few in that kind of top-down style. There was one called Pillars of Eternity that looked really interesting. It was a gorgeous looking game. But it looked so vast. And because I'm not very good at those type of games, I was thinking, I'm a bit scared to play it, but yeah, Pillars of Eternity really. I think I do own it. I'm pretty sure I've got it on Steam, but It's a game I'm definitely interested in playing. The gameplay was decent, but after the story ended, they sort of had a glue on an endgame. In Diablo 3, yeah. I think my niche is for 3D open world games, if you want to call them that. I'm a massive lover of 3D platformers, like Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario 64. I love exploration and sort of platforming, skill-based, that type of skill-based. I've always been keen on that. But I do like a good shoot 'em up. Like I said, I mentioned Half-Life 2. The older Call of Duty games are great. The new ones are fine. Campaign-wise, the newer ones are fine. Halo Combat Evolved, I think, is really, really good. Action-adventure games I really, really like. God of War, the first one. The first and second one, I think, are two great games. I remember really enjoying those. But as like I said, they're more action adventure games. That's probably what I'm more into, is more action adventure type stuff. Like I said, it's rare that I play RPGs, not because of any distaste for them. I just look at a load of games that I want to play, and there's just other games I want to play instead of them. I've got to get something to drink, be right back. Yeah, no bother. Tell me. I've got no idea what I'm drawing here. I'm back, baby. I'm still drawing. I don't know what this is. Some weird something or other. There's a game I'm playing at the minute. I don't know if this would be classed as an RPG. I don't think it would be. Again, a game with RPG elements in air quotes. There's a game I'm playing right now on my Xbox called Soccer Story. And very cute art style, voxel art, and you play as this little kid called Leo. Very creative with the name there. I wonder who that's named after. And you've got the story, loosely, is that in your little town, I think this is what it is, soccer, the fact that they call it soccer annoys me, but I'll let it slide, is banned by a company called Soccer Inc. So they wanted to stop you playing football. So like the town that you live in is a little bit sort of barren, it's a bit desolate, people are depressed, they've got to find other activities because the man has banned soccer. But a magic ball finds its way to you, and you use that ball to go and talk, to complete tasks. You talk to the old sort of statesman. There was an incident like a year ago where people got hurt, after playing soccer in game banned. But you go and do things like to up your skill. So you've got a skill set of shooting, strength, energy, and speed. And you complete tasks like hitting targets, finding items for people. They'll unlock certain things for you. And you've got to use your skills as a footballer to sort of do these things. It's quite a simple game, but I quite like the idea of it, and it's just a nice little thing a nice happy little game to just park it for a couple of hours on after a long day. It reminds me a little bit of, there was a game I love on the Game Boy Advance, Mario Tennis, but it wasn't like other Mario sports games where you just play the sport. You could pick obviously your character between the boy and the girl. You'd name them, and the goal was to play in like Mario Cup or whatever it was called, and you had to go through certain class divisions. So you'd be in class 1, where you'd be with all the noobs, and you'd learn your basic skills. Then you would advance to class 2, but there were other side games that you played. So you go to a gym, and you do like button coordination. So like you'd have to press A and B. So the A was left foot, B right foot, together 2 foot. So you'd have to go through this course in a certain time. So you'd have to like baby da 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 da. And it was just a really good sort of hand-eye coordination little sort of mini game that you played to up your skills. And there were like special moves. So it just made the very boring game of tennis fun and interesting, and I quite liked that. Based off that game, I downloaded a game on Xbox Store, Match Point. It's a tennis game where you go through, obviously you start as a rookie, and then you sort of progress through the levels, and you end up playing the bigger tournaments, and one of the goals is to get to #1 ranking in the world, blah, 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 blah. But I uninstalled it because tennis is a very boring game to play on computer. I thought I would like it, but it's a bit grindy. Like, the reason I like the Mario Tennis game was because they had other gameplay elements to make it fun. Like, you had special moves and mini games that were fun, and didn't take itself too seriously. But Match Point, tennis isn't a game that it turns out I'm all that arsed about. I downloaded Dead Cells as well, because I think my favourite type of 2D game, as well as platforms, is Metroidvanias. I've just got into them in the last 5 years so much, and they're just so good. Again, I think it speaks to the art style that I like, hence you can probably tell from the types of drawings I'm doing. I don't know what it is about pixel art and 2D art. I just think it seems to capture sci-fi atmosphere a lot better than 3D games do. Like when 3D games try and do it, it just seems dark and moody. A lot of the time it doesn't seem to really capture it. I mean, Cyberpunk looks like it did it, which I'm yet to play, but 2D games just seem to do a really good job of just capturing that sort of atmosphere that I like, at least. Anyway, I think probably because you can have more fun with the art style. Perhaps, I don't know. PJ Tour golf game, and that was fun. Golf, I love the golf games. The Tiger Woods games I really like. I think I prefer the skill set of golf in a video game than tennis. I don't think golf's as grindy. Dead Cells is fantastic, but it was way too hectic for me. Sadly, the same with Hades. Hades is another one I really want to play. I don't know. I don't mind. If it's done well, I don't mind hectic gameplay. I seem to really like games that involve fast hand-eye coordination. Like, I'm a big fan of a game to illustrate that point would be Guitar Hero. I flipping love Guitar Hero. I recently downloaded Clone Hero. I wasted quite a lot of time at uni on Guitar Hero, sadly. Never played it before in my life, never played guitar, anything like that, any instrument. But I managed to pick that game up really fast. And I just thought, oh, my hand-eye coordination must be really good then. And because I love that type of music as well, I just loved playing it. But the problem was, because I've got all the Guitar Heroes on my Xbox, when I got a 4K telly, I thought, there's something wrong with this. It just seems off. Like the timing was wrong. I'm like, it's like the input of the guitar doesn't match up with what I'm looking at, doesn't match up with the sound, but what's going on here? And I read up, apparently, because of is it something to do with the frame rate I read? That you can't match it up properly. So it's out of sync. So I stopped playing it, and I'm like, oh, I really fancy, just every now and again, I just fancy just chucking on Guitar Hero and having a few songs. But Clone Hero is just perfect. It's like every Guitar Hero game, and I just love it. It just really nicely scratches that itch for me when I want to just sort of get on and jam. Just mindless button tapping to colours and songs. Something it turns out I was pretty good at. And it just scratched a nice little itch for me. Oh. For me it was Guitar Hero songs was me and my friends jam, 90%, lost our minds. Guitar Hero 5, play guitar, nice. I think the song that kind of did me in, because I was able to 5-star, I think, every song on Expert 1, 2 and 3, up until, there was a couple in there that I 100% did. But when Through the Fire and Flames came knocking, that was the point where I thought, the time I'm going to need to learn to do this, I may as well just get a guitar. So I did, and I actually have a real guitar. It's a very nice cherry red Ibanez, however you want to pronounce it. But the problem is, it's just time. I mean, you could argue, I could find time if I made more of an effort. Like, you could argue for sort of every half hour I have a little blast on Clone Hero, I could do that on my real guitar. But Clone Hero is just easier, isn't it? You can just whack it on. You know, and I would argue, some may disagree, but I would argue matching up 5 coloured buttons and strumming at the same time to some songs is far easier than learning how to play a real guitar. I do have Rocksmith. I remember getting that for my birthday with my guitar because I thought, oh, this seems like the perfect balance of learning how to play real guitar with mixing it with a video game. But the problem was, I think with Rocksmith, I remember trying to learn All the Small Things on it by Blink-182, because it's a song that I like. But what it would do, to make it easier, it would leave out half the notes. So you weren't, you were playing less notes to make it easier. But then I remember learning the song for real. So I think I got a YouTube tutorial up and I actually played it. I managed to learn the intro and I was really proud of myself. So I thought, I'll go back to Rocksmith and, maybe that can just sharpen it up for me. Went back to Rocksmith, and from what I remember, there was no option to play the song in full until you got better at it, using its own gameplay structure. And I thought, well, what? That's stupid, because the song just made no sense then. Because I'm looking at it as the whole song, and I know what notes to play for that intro. But then when you look at it through, or when you look at it like it's broken up in the way that it was, it just didn't make sense. So I thought, well, that's silly. There should be an option for you to just play it all at once. And then I remember just playing the mini games and thinking, this doesn't seem really worth it. You play acoustic guitar. Oh, nice. I imagine acoustic guitar to be a bit harder, because aren't the strings a bit thicker on an acoustic, and you use your fingers more than a pick? That's fine. My fingers are itching to get back into Diablo. Mate, if you want to go crack on with it, honestly, don't let me stop you. I don't know what I'm going to do after this. Been talking about Clone Hero. I might jump back on that for a bit, unless some of my friends are online and they want to play some stuff. I don't know. They normally jump on at about 8, half 8, I think. Maybe a bit later. I love finger picking, but yeah, the strings are steel and quite thick. Yeah. I think one of the things with guitar as well that I've noticed is that I haven't got the biggest hands. And it's your pinky as well, like you're trying to stretch your pinky out. Like I've noticed quite a few people who are really good at guitar have got quite long fingers. There's a guitarist on YouTube called The Do. He's quite a famous, I say famous relative to YouTube. I mean, he has played with Herman Lee from Dragon Force, so he's probably getting on, but he's an incredible guitarist. And I've noticed with him, like, his fingers seem quite long. I'm not saying that's the only reason he's good. Like, he's amazing because he learned the instrument, and I think I remember him saying in one of his videos that he has had a background in classical training, I think he said, or something, because he plays piano as well. But God, his technique is just ultimate chef kiss. I used to have a nylon string guitar and loved the sound, but during some mental issues I lost it. When I first started hearing you, I think subconsciously. Oof. That's some punishment on your fingers though. Have you ever thought about what was the beat said? I have an island. Have you ever thought about getting an nylon string guitar again? A new one? Go back to it? Do you think it'd be, if you went from a metal string guitar back to a nylon one, do you think you'd find it easier? I mean, it'd probably be easier on your fingers to play, but... Do you know what's been, one of the reasons it's been lovely chatting to you, Coop, because it always is anyway, but I've not been focusing on this drawing at all, and I've been drawing all sorts of gear on it, and it's just come out really random. I've got no idea what I've been doing here. I seem to have just got like a page's worth of drawing done. I'm like, I've got no idea what it is. That's the point of it, isn't it? I don't know, I think I've sort of had images of like tree branches and clouds and stuff. But I've not really... not really knowing what else to do with it. Looks very organic, I like it. Oh, thank you very much. Probably be easier, but I'd probably wreck the strings by pushing too hard on them. Yeah, I can imagine that. Like if you're used to a certain pressure you have to put on the strings because you've been using a harsher guitar, then yeah, you probably have to retrain your brain, wouldn't you? Take it a bit easy. The things I like about my current guitar, it's mahogany, a beautiful burnt look. Yeah, is it that like black and red look? Those guitars look gorgeous. Sounds very sharp, but full thanks to a big body, and 3 has a thin neck. Ah, thin neck, I didn't think about that. I don't know how big my neck, the neck on my guitar is. I mean, it feels quite thick because, like I say, I've got quite small hands. Probably not best built for guitar. My previous guitar was a gift from my dad and didn't really fit other than it was nylon stringed. Yeah, I don't even think about that with guitars. They're not obviously all going to feel the same, are they? So when you get one that's right for you, you're going to You're gonna feel it after a guitar or two, aren't you? I actually wanted to play drums. Is actually my first instrument that I wanted to learn how to play, and I still would, but they're massive, they're expensive, and they're noisy. And growing up in a block of flats, not really gonna get. Yeah, and there's limited space living with your three brother and sisters. You're not gonna have the room. I did. My mum and dad did get me a keyboard for my birthday, though. I wish I'd kept that. I really do wish I'd kept that and actually made an effort to learn on it. And it's something I probably could have handed down or passed down to my kids. Just a quick side note on the art. I'm actually really enjoying using a thinner pen. He bought it without asking me about it. Made me kind of feel, what's this? Oh, is that because like if he's not asking, if it's is it something that you wanted? I'm assuming it was, and then he's just got and bought you a random one. And it's like, talk to me, and I could have told you exactly which one you could have bought for me. And that kind of gig. It was more of a situation where the money could have gone into more productive things at the time. Guitar. Oh, I see. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I'm assuming it was your money that. But am I right in thinking that was it your money that he just decided to spend this guitar on? Like it was you had plans to use it elsewhere, and without your permission, it was just spunked on a guitar. One. No, drawn over that. That's really annoyed me. How have I messed that up? I just saw that. I just that slight diagonal. It looked minging. I thought, no, I'm not having that. There you go. That's better. You lost your guitar yourself. Well. All I can say, Coob, is we all lose stuff. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm one of the clumsiest human beings in the world. I've broken stuff that's been valuable. Oof. We used to have this deal that any bigger purchases I wanted needed to make, he would help out. I see. No, I can completely understand that. It's the the whole principle of if you've got like an agreement in place and then that agreement is broken. Yeah, that is annoying. Because I would understand the frustration of that. It's like, obviously you appreciate that someone's spent their money on you, but if they were just going to do that behind your back, don't have the agreement in place that you're going to help out with important purchases if that's what you're going to do anyway. So I totally understand that. Totally with you on that one. It's like, because I'm a stickler for, like, if someone says something like that, I'll be like, right, then I'll plan something out. I'll make like a budget to use these funds for something useful, like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like supplies for like a job or something like that, or you know, clothes that you might need, something you, like you say, something useful. And then if someone just goes and sort of does that behind your back, it's like, well, you know, you've just sort of wasted my time planning out for that budget, kind of thing. It would have been nice to at least come with the guitar. Yeah, 100%. Like, as I've got older, I've noticed I absolutely hate people surprising me. I hate it. Like, it's just something I've always, like, when people's like, oh, surprise, I'm gonna get you a gift, surprise. Because then if it's like something I didn't really want, I'm not saying you didn't want the guitar, but just something you weren't thinking about, and you're kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find my words today at all. But you know what I mean. If it's like when someone, air quotes, surprises you with something you weren't really thinking about, and it's just, all it is to me is, it's like, oh, this is something I'm going to have to deal with now, and it's like, oh, frustrating. But like you say, if it was budgeted towards something that you sort of had plans for, if you'd agreed upon, like I say, it's just the principle of an agreement was broken. So I understand that. Frustrating. You know, if you're going to break the agreement, don't make the agreement. How long have I been online? 77? No, only 77 minutes. It feels like a bit longer than that. I don't know what time it is. 5 to 8. I think what I'm going to do is, after this, I'm going to have another hour, because I said in the Monday stream that I need to get back to planning or planning out the I'll call it a tutorial. It's not a tutorial series, but the How I Draw series. I need to get cracking on with that. But also think that some things need to be planned, like a guitar that will hopefully last for many. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a similar situation I had at Christmas. I was looking at, it was a flat cap, like a Peaky Blinders style flat cap, and I thought, oh, that'd be quite cool. It's not as expensive as a guitar, but. And my missus was like, oh, do you want me to get you it? And I'm like, it's one of those things that I think looks cool, but it's one of those things I'd have to try on before I'd really commit to it. So I said, specifically, don't get me this specific item. Just don't get me it. We'll go together, or just, you know, give me money for it for Christmas or whatever, and then I'll go and try one on, or try a few on, see if I like it. Yeah, no problem. We don't get each other a lot of presents for Christmas because it's mainly you want to budget for around what the kids get, and if there's anything we want, we'll just get it ourselves. But anyway, Christmas comes rolling round, and I know it's Christmas, and the whole point of it is gift giving and all that stuff. And I get this flat cap, and obviously I didn't want to seem ungrateful, so I was like, "Thank you very much, and it is a very nice flat cap." Excuse me. But I tried it on, and I don't like it. I don't think it suits me, which is exactly why I wanted to try it on first. And it's like, you don't want to appear ungrateful, and you don't want to say that you're not appreciative of it, because you are, obviously. So you've got me a gift, you've got me something nice. But not exactly the same situation as you, but when you specifically said, do not get me this thing, and then they do, and it's like, that could have been used for a present that I actually wanted. But it's fine. Like I say, you don't kick up a fuss. You don't, especially on Christmas, you don't complain about it. You say thank you very much, and be done with it. But in your situation, like, I definitely understand. Yeah, like you say, you appreciate the surprise and the gestures there, but it's one of those things that you just think that's something we should have. We're so alike. I wear a fat. Mine probably doesn't suit me either, but I was by the order of the Peaky Blinders. See, I do the one that I got was a very light grey one, and I wanted more of a darker one. And like I said, the flat cap is actually a very nice one. I just don't think it suit. I'm not confident about it suiting me. I thought maybe a dark one, because I do like my beanie hats as well. In fact, I very much like my beanie hats in the winter. So I got myself a beanie hat. Not scarf. It's not like a scarf. It's like I don't know what it is. It was like a beanie hat combo with this thing. It's a thing that goes around your neck. I want to say a shroud. Is it a shroud? It's not a shroud, is it? No, a shroud's the thing that goes fully over your head with eye holes. In fact, no, a shroud doesn't have eye holes. A shroud's the thing that just goes over your head so you can't see. But yeah, I haven't fully given up on the flat cap. It's just I'm not entirely sure about it. It's a white one. Is it white or light grey? One of those two. Mine probably isn't the most important thing is you keep a cap. Wow. Because I didn't know there were a few different types of flat caps. She showed me the one that the Peaky Blinders wear, and I didn't like that one. I've got a thing. I think it's because of the way my hair is. I don't like things on the side of my head, kind of bobbing out. I prefer it to kind of be slim to the side of my head. It was more like a bubble look, and I just didn't like those flat caps at all. But it's weird, like when you see obviously Cillian Murphy wear it, is Tommy Shelby. It looks mint, but I don't know. I just think my head's not. I haven't got the right head for it. That's what I'm saying. Order of the Peaky Blinders. I was actually going to ask you, is it a herringbone cap? In fact, give me 1 second, I can show you. Most of them, I'll show you. Oh. Here's my, I've got no idea. Oh, close. I've got no idea what you call it, but it's this. That's my flat cap. It's nice, isn't it? That's the inside of it. So I mean, it's all right, isn't it? I mean, I know I could tighten up the... Oh, sugar. Like, you can take the buttons off like that. Can you tighten it up? I think you can. Because it feels quite loose on my head. So I think I just need to tighten it up, maybe. But yeah. Oh. I was going to ask you something then. Going back to the gaming chat. Because you're a Minecrafter. And I think I've mentioned to you before that with Minecraft I kind of have waves of it. Like I'll go on it for like a couple of months just non-stop. And then I'll get so far and I'll just be like, oh. Like I'll not achieve what I want to achieve and then I'll kind of have a break from it. And I do that every time. And oh, excuse me. The last time I had like a run on it, or that was considering having another run, I started looking at, because I thought maybe I need to play on creative more if I'm kind of struggling with sort of locking it down in survival. Maybe just go on creative and play about with some stuff. Make your own kind of game out of it. Like I really wanted to make some mazes out of it. And there's that famous game, The Drop, that they had, that someone did. And I was looking at sort of servers that you could go on to sort of maybe build stuff with people. And I was going to ask you, are there any servers that you go on or that you would recommend if you go on them? And then maybe try and rekindle a bit of passion for it that way. Because I first played it, I think, the year it came out. And I loved the idea of it, but I didn't really get into it because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I stopped playing it for years. And then when my son got a bit older, he really got into it and he kind of reignited my desire to play it. And like I said, I've been on and off for the past few years on it. So I was going to ask you if there's any sort of, like, if you go on any online stuff. I don't play in servers except my own realm. It's down for now, but I'm considering starting one up again. Yeah, the next update looks really good actually, if I remember it rightly. Is it the one with the blossom, or is that already out with the? Is it the blossom trees? Did that one already come out? I thought it was the 1.20 update that was going to come out, and that's not quite out yet, is it? Is it this month? Cherry block archaeology, that was the one, and bamboo planks. Yeah, I've seen the bamboo. Is it the raft you can make from it? Should be out soon. Yeah, it was the one I remembered. Because I saw that a little while ago and I thought I was actually surprised they hadn't put it out yet. But I think I'm going to sort of do the same thing as you. I think I'm going to wait before I go back on it. Just for the update, because it seems to point us to start a world now, and then sort of 2 minutes later you've got the update. It's just, may as well wait for it. The snapshots have gone into pre-release candidates, so it's relatively little chance that you. Yeah, because I recently updated the thingamabob. What's it called? The launcher. Do you play on PC or? No, I don't know. I don't normally start in the pre-release. Do you play Minecraft on PC or console? I actually have them on both, but I normally go PC. Yeah, a friend of mine's got a realm, a private realm that me, him, and our kids play on. Although we've not been on that for a little while. That's on console, just so we can all play on it. But normally I do PC. I like messing about with the tools and stuff, and as well the controls. I think mouse and keyboard massively better for Minecraft than joypad. There are certain games I prefer a joypad on, but Minecraft is not one of them. I found the controls really yes, I 100% agree. It just doesn't seem to. I tell you what else as well. It's slow. Like, for all its faults, Call of Duty's controls are very, very, very good on console for joypads. And I actually prefer, which is almost blasphemous to say for shoot 'em ups, but it just works perfectly. So whenever I play a game in first person that isn't as good as Call of Duty, I get frustrated because I think, well, why don't you move the same? Like, it's, I don't know. It just feels like a bit on console with Minecraft, like you're walking through treacle a little bit, and it doesn't feel like that when you play it on PC. It's weird. I don't know why. What's your favourite build on Minecraft you've done? As in like an individual structure or just a map, or I did ages ago. Oh, I don't even know if it still exists anymore. On an old, it's on an old. It's lost forever in terms of the map. I did a pixel art representation of a level on Zelda, A Link to the Past. That was quite fun to do. But I've just reminded myself there. I do still have this world, but on my old PC, it died, so I lost half of the save. And I have thought about restarting this. I started making a 3D Minecraft world of the overworld of A Link to the Past, and I got quite a ways into it, and it started looking really nice, but then my old PC went and I lost half of the save, and I was gutted, and I was like, oh, can I be able to revisit this? And years have gone by, I've not touched it, but I have thought about going back to creative mode and finishing it off or cracking on with it. So yeah, I might start doing that. But I think as well with the update, again, this is another reason why I want to wait for it, because I started using those creative tools. They have to bring out a new update for the tools as well. So like and obviously I want to use the new blocks and everything, but if I carry on in or if I start a world now with in creative, then it'll probably affect. It's just more of a pain in the arse, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to wait, it's fine. I've got plenty of other games that keep me going until then. _8. I think I'm going to start wrapping this up because I've been on it for ages. It looks like some sort of messed up tree, doesn't it? In fact, I know what I'm going to do. As was fun to chat. Now, great minds think alike. The rest can take a hike. Take care, buddy. Yeah, no, thank you again, Coop, for joining in and having a chat. It was lovely chatting to you as always. Like I say, drop a like and all that business. If you can, my friend, that would be lovely. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Just a nice little messed up tree thing. I quite like it. But I've been on this now, what, an hour and a half? I think that's enough. But thank you again, Coob, my man, for joining in. Always nice to catch up and have a chat about stuff. Especially when it's about video games. Love video games. I'll be on again tomorrow. I will not be on. I will be hopefully sharing some time lapses. Back on Wednesday to do another one of these. Wednesday I'll flip back and forth between doing this and something else, but I'll put something on the board on Wednesday if I do. But yeah, Wednesday should be the next time I'm about. But thank you again, Coob. Always nice chatting. Thank you for everyone else who tuned in, who watched the latest piece in my book. Oh, I hope you all have a good evening. And I'll catch you again soon. Cheerio.